Wisdom is the principal thing, and this weekend at all campuses, just spoke at the high school, which isn't that awesome that God put us at that high school name, and actually the street name is Shiloh, which means meeting place with God. And I'm just grateful today when I spoke there thinking what God did and then pulling up to this. This was a gift that we can broadcast to all campuses today. Give it up again for God, what he did. It's a real life miracle. So I really want to talk about kind of the difference between education and wisdom, and I believe in both of those, but I want to put more emphasis on wisdom and how to get it, because wisdom is the principal thing. It'll change everything about your life. And when I was growing up, my dad loved to walk to Steak and Shake. Come on, somebody like Steak and Shake? And so we would walk to Steak and Shake on these long walks, and really the walk was almost like way before the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book came out. My dad was teaching me to think differently than everybody else. So you have to, if you think like everybody else, you're just going to be like everybody else. And I want you to be a critical thinker. I want you to be a free thinker, because I don't want you controlled by the world and the way it thinks or the world system. Does that make sense? So as a result of that, all that time, I would make up reasons to be with my dad, just to listen to what he had to say. My brother sometimes, this is where you got to find wisdom, he would invite them on the walk, but that's too far to walk. It's too hard to walk. I don't want to walk all the way there. I'm not hungry. They were missing the point. It wasn't about the walk. It was about the wisdom on the walk. And so wisdom is what you're hungry for. You wouldn't be at RPC campus today. You're here to learn something that school can't teach you. Even just little things. We were on vacation this week. And I don't know if you've ever been on an airplane to where there's that middle armrest that you feel is yours and the other person feels it's theirs. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And there's this struggle the whole flight. I'm aggravated. I'm agitated. I'm mad because this guy has my spot. If he picks his nose, I'm in there really, really quick. But how many of y'all know that's not wisdom? That's a wasted time. And so many times, as silly as I wanted to make that story, the joke really isn't that funny when you look at people who lack wisdom and waste time doing stuff that really is a waste of time. Before we get into the scripture, paint a little bit better picture. When I was 18 and I knew everything, I was so smart. How many of you are like me and you were smart at 18? How many of you were way smarter at 18 than you are now? Something went wrong, because I was like, I got it. I'm confident. I'm bold. I don't even understand. And then when it came to raising kids, I'd see people like at a restaurant, their kid would be screaming. I'm like, somebody needs to teach them how to raise a child. That's not the way you do it. And then I got Ashton and I realized this is just the way it's going to be and there's nothing you can do about it. How many of y'all know if a kid's screaming, they're screaming? But again, I knew everything about everything. So when I was 18, I met this girl, fell in love. I was convinced I was in love. I knew I was in love. I knew what love was. In fact, I listened to a lot of songs that said, I want to know what love is. And so I knew about love, right? Anybody with me right now? See where we're going? Then my dad, who was obviously older than me, I told him, hey, I didn't ask him. I told him, because I knew he wouldn't approve. I said, I'm going to get married. He's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am. I am in love, and I'm a man. And I waited till I was 18 to tell you this so I could move out if I needed to. And I'm willing to fight for my right to do what I need. I need to have sex. That's really what I needed. I didn't need to get married, right? But if you're married by a preacher, you're like, hey, guess what? You're going to hell or you're getting married. So I was getting married. Come on, go with me. I was like, I'm in love, right? And my dad's like, no, you're not in love. You're in heat. And I'm like, no, not. Because you don't know what love really is. I see the way you and mom live together. You wouldn't know love. I know what love is. Well, 8 years later, after wasting 8 years of my life, and I had to look at it as an investment, I realized that maybe sound counsel, wisdom from this Steak and Shake guy could have absolutely helped me. Now, the good news is it gave Nicole 7 years to wait on a man to be refined and have all of that wisdom that she needed. This is my sermon. Come on, go with me on this today. All right? But knowledge right now is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. There's so much of it coming at you. They're cranking loads of information to you like never, ever before. If you want to know something, you don't have to look at a book. You're like, hey, how far, hey, Google, how far is it to Mars? Hey, Google, how far is it to Destin, Florida? Hey, Google, how do I pay my rent? Hey, Google, everything can be found just by this information. The Bible told us that. He said in the last days, knowledge would increase. Now, here's the issue. Now that we have so much information coming to us, oftentimes it's not wisdom-based information. It's Proverbs, like Proverbs. There's 31 Proverbs in the Bible, and I want to encourage you to read those every day. There's 31 days and a lot of months, so every day you're like, hey, it's the 5th day, I'm going to read Proverbs 5. It's the 21st day, I'm going to read Proverbs 21. When you get this, you get the wisdom that comes from God. Now, we have American Proverbs. That's all that really is. You have Chinese proverb, American proverb. You know this one. Nothing ventured, nothing. Don't throw out the baby with don't make a mountain out of a. Pastor David is awesome. No, it's one I'm working. It hasn't caught on yet, but I'm going to make that happen. Right? These are adages. These are proverbs, but proverbs and adages are good advice. God's proverbs are inspired advice from God. So God is always right. Everybody shout that with me. God is always right. That sounds incredible. One more time. That sounded good, right? God is always right. If you'd have brought that kind of chutzpah with PD was awesome, it would have been awesome. All right. So let's talk about Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3, verse 13. It said, blessed are those who find wisdom. So it sounds like you kind of got to look for it on the walk to Steak and Shake. And those who gain understanding. Remember, understanding is the ability to apply wisdom. For she is more profitable than silver. It's doing really good right now. It yields better returns than gold. My gosh, it's up like what? Sometimes close to $2,000 an ounce. And nothing you can desire can be compared with her. I love verse 16. It says, long life is in her right hand, and her left hand is riches and honor. So we have this thing called the wisdom of God that's found in Proverbs in a church to where we can have 2 fistfuls of awesomeness. You can have the riches and honor, and you can have the long life. Because if you just have riches and honor, that's great. But most people just have riches. I meet people all the time at our church who say, hey, I want you to meet so-and-so. This person is an influencer. I want you to come to dinner with this person. And a lot of times everybody's impressed because they had a lot of riches. But they were missing this. Wisdom says riches and honor. If you just see riches and you don't see honor, then most of the time you lose the riches because your body left alone will do things that aren't right. It won't do the honorable thing. So you can get riches but have no honor, and then when you don't have any honor, you don't stick with stuff. In other words, you'll do stuff in the dark that's revealed in the light that'll take away all of your riches, and then you don't have length of days at the organization. Does that make sense? We see people resigning. We see president scandals. We see governor scandals. We see preacher scandals. We see dentist scandals. What happened? They might have gotten riches, but they didn't have honor. Then they lose the length of days. Does that make sense? And all of us can fall prey to this in a minute, left unattended. We're going to do what we want, the way we want. After all, Dad, I am an American. I'm going to die on this hill. I knew what I was fighting for. I was fighting for love. I'll do anything for love. Right? The songs are awesome. Like, I'll step in front of a train for you. Bad idea. I'll put my hand on a blade for you. Even dumber. Come on. We don't know about them, but we know about him. And so if we can find out what him has to say, then we have riches and honor and length of days. And that feels good. How many of y'all want 2 handfuls of that? Half of you. I'm going to try it again. How many of y'all want 2 handfuls of that? And Pastor Dave is awesome. So let's try it. It's going to catch on. I know it will. I know I have a dream. Verse 17 says, her ways are pleasant ways, and her paths are paths of peace. There's an absence of peace. Right now, if you turn on CNN, if you turn on Fox News, if you turn on alternate news, no matter what happens, we have notifications on our phone. And the notification goes, oh my gosh, can you believe they're trying to do that? And what would happen if they did that? So we screenshot it. I do it too. And then I screenshot to my friends to make sure they did not miss the crap that is coming down the pike that I've got to make sure that everybody knows about. Raise your hand if you've seen people like myself. And I share that information, and then they share information to me. And then I sent something to Brother Copeland yesterday, a video that he just had to see. And he said, it won't allow me to open it. It won't allow me to open it. And he's 85 years old, So finally he goes, hey, it allowed me to open it. And I already saw that a month ago. And I thought, well, somebody already beat him to the bad news. Somebody already gave him the information that's the whole information that I've got right now. My friends are slacking off giving me the tragic information about what is happening in the world. But then I got to thinking, if we would pass on some good news and say, you know what, for the next 31 days, I'm only going to send messages that are edifying, that are fruitful, or that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Hey, guys, I got a word. I found out all things work together for our good. Did you hear that? Hey, guess what? And then you're like, what? This reminds me of the movie. Remember when, I forget what movie it was, but Jim Carrey saw, it said, world's best coffee. Remember that? In the movie, he walked in and he goes, guys, congratulations on the coffee, right? He really believed it. I think we really ought to believe it. We ought to believe that we're blessed. We ought to believe that we're different. We ought to believe that we're favored. We ought to believe that we're protected. We ought to believe that we are covered by the blood, encapsulated by him. And so we need to seek out this stuff so we have peace. Verse 18, it says, she is a tree of life, and those that take hold of her will be blessed. So it's a tree of life. The tree of life. Remember all the way back in the garden, Adam and Eve were in the garden, and in the garden, the enemy came in and told Eve, hey, there's some information that just came out on the web that you need to find out about. And the information is right away that God is trying to hide something from you. If you want to be like God, then what you need to do is you need to take this bite. You need to receive this whatever. So now you receive that, which was a lie, and the whole time God wasn't trying to keep anything from you. He was trying to give you wisdom, length of days. So how many of y'all know it would have been really cool to let's picture it. Let's go back there for 1 minute. This is a guy and a girl that look like on the cover of Shape magazine. They have no kids, they have no bills, they have no taxes, they have no problems. There's yet a mother-in-law in this scenario. There is yet any problems whatsoever. This is just two gorgeous people all day long trying to figure out what love is. Some of y'all need to go with me on this right now. And then the devil came in and said, there's something you're missing. And now, because she took the bait, now she doesn't have the riches and honor of living in the garden. She doesn't have the length of days. Now the Bible said, who told you that? So that tells me, wisdom says, who's telling you that you're going to have a bad 5 years? Who's telling you that a government control your life? Who's telling you that the best years of your life are behind you? Glad you got your traveling over. I predict to you that you're going to travel again, and you're going to love again, and you're going to have a good life, and you're going to see good days if you go with God. And I'm telling you, no plague will come nigh your dwelling. So, some people are going with me, some people aren't. It's okay. You can watch me do it on Instagram. Proverbs 24, verse 3. By wisdom, a house is built. By understanding, it is established. By knowledge, the rooms are filled with precious, pleasant riches. So you don't want just a house. You want a house that's decorated. And you want a house that's decorated with some really cool stuff. And the Bible said wisdom does that. A wise man is full of strength, and a man of knowledge enhances his might. For by wise guidance, by wisdom's guidance, you can wage war. In the abundance of counselors, sounds like a small group. In the abundance of counselor, there is victory. Well, wisdom's just too high for a fool. Wisdom. So yeah, go get the education. Go get the degree. But make sure you apply wisdom to it. Because if you just get education and you put all your emphasis on education, then you'll be like a lot of people working at a fast food store having a bunch of degrees. Because the degrees don't do you any good until you get the chutzpah, the tenacity, the wisdom, the fire, the stick to it, the making it wise, the choice, saying, I want multiple people speaking in my life. Now, if I would have listened to my dad more, I would have gotten more wisdom. But I said, hey, that's enough wisdom. Actually, I think that wisdom is more about you trying to manipulate me. But really, no, I didn't understand wisdom. So it was too high for a fool. Now, Psalms 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So before we even get into deeper truths, the beginning, the very elementary phase of this is to respect God. I have a question to ask. Do you think people are respecting God more or less right now? Less. Do you think people are respecting church more or less right now? Less. Do you think people are putting more emphasis on their own science and their mind and man's wisdom than God's wisdom? Are they putting more emphasis on man's wisdom or God's? More man's. I'm all for science. It's great, as long as it's not manipulated. I'm all for information if the information is true. But you also have to remember that we live in the information age. And information can be skewed. But God's word, you don't have to read it and have any wonder what they're trying to do. Wonder what the underlying model is, because this is inspired by God Almighty. And if you practice this, it endures forever. It changes the outlook of your life. And you walk around going, ha ha, God's in control of my life. It's all like Donkey Kong, because I will not allow the situation to control me. I will control the situation. Now I'm a control freak. Anybody else in here share my personality? Anybody? Raise your hand. Control freak. Raise your hand. How many of you are not a control freak? That's okay. I want to know who you are. How many of you are not a control freak? How many of you think the person next to you lied about it? You're like, no, they're a freak. How many of you are just a freak? Raise your hands. Like, I'm a freaky. I'm a freaky dicky, right? I'm a freaky man. Okay. I don't like being out of control. I want to be in control. So there's ways to be more in control of your life and ways to be less in control of your life. Wisdom is really that. I talked to a guy in prison the other day. He called me from his cell phone, which I thought was kind of interesting, because I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't know you have cell phones in prison. He's like, oh yeah, you have cell phones in prison. You can have sex in prison. You can drugs in prison. Anything you want in prison. It's prison. It's like there's a lot of chicanery going on up in here. I'm like, wow, really? He said, yeah. He said, actually. And then I told another guy who just got out of prison from our church. He's here in Palm Beach. And I asked him, I said, you don't have cell phones in prison? He said, yeah. He said, I didn't know it till I was in there for like a couple months. And then I rented one from a guard. And then I ended up buying them because they're like $2,500 to get one. But he said, I bought them and then you rent them out all day. And I was making like thousands of dollars a day renting them out. I'm like, you're kidding me. So you got like a phone rental business in prison? He's like, yeah, actually, I still have it. Guys, I'm telling you the truth right now. There's stuff going on that you don't know about. How many of y'all didn't know that? Those of you who didn't raise your hand, I don't even know why you knew that, but I'm suspicious. I'm just thinking growth track would be good for you. That's all I'm saying. No pressure. Mustang Sally can help you work through this. Okay, so that means the guy's smart. He's a businessman. This guy I'm thinking of right now still has lots of businesses in St. Louis, and they're still going. He's running them from his cell phone. So being smart got him riches. Not having honor got him time. So he's got in this hand, he's got riches. But he ain't got no honor. He ain't got no length of days. Because his wife, who's gorgeous, is out on the loose. And his little kids are out on the loose, and he's trying to watch everybody from the cell phone. It sounds real. It's called a cell phone. Come on, somebody. You're in a cell. Get it? What I'm saying? It's a cell. Go. Is that genius? That's brilliant. I want to tell him that when he calls me again, in case you're like, you can't have that here. It's called a cell phone. I'm in a cell. It's a phone. It's not a car phone. Tim Hawkins will take that and make that better. Okay. Let's go to Psalms 119, 130. Psalms 119, verse 30. 130. The unfolding of your words gives light. It imparts understanding to the simple. So when you come to church and you get light, you're getting word, you're laughing, and then I shove the word in you. It gives you light, and it gives understanding to even the simplest of people. And you're smart, but even the smartest person can be foolish. Have you ever met somebody so smart they were stupid? So educated they were insane? You're not functioning in the real world. So by going to church, hearing the word, it gives us light. It imparts understanding. But again, you got to look for it. And for me as a kid, if my dad was talking to, in his line of work, he was a preacher, so I was always trying to stay up and hear what him and the preachers were saying. I'm 12 years old, trying to shine their shoes, do anything I could to be around them because I wanted to hear what they had to say. Because even at a young age, I knew these guys are smart, and they figured out stuff that I was interested in. And really, that's part of the deal that's on the inside of you. On the inside of every person here today, at the Cafe Chapel online, at the other campuses, what you're doing is you're hearing stuff, and you know God put a dream in you to do something big. But here's where most people fail. I'm going to really stop for a second and let you make sure you're paying attention. Most people fail because they don't stick with anything. Here's what they do. They go on a diet and they don't stick with it. You don't go on a diet. Diets suck. The first 3 letters are horrible. Die. You go on a diet? How many of y'all not into that? You could be on a live it, but not a diet. A live it is different from a diet. It's just more of my profound wisdom today of these words I'm making up right now. A live it versus a diet is a live it is saying, hey, I'm going to live this way. Will I do stupid stuff? Yes. Will I have a cheat day? Yes. But if it's a cheat life, I'm going to go online for this one here because I've lost Florida right now. But it's a lifestyle change. This is wisdom. But now you went to church, you got the girl, and now you got this family, and this family starts growing, and then you get an idea to say, I'm going to move to, Nowhere, Alabama. Kids are, okay, Daddy, we're going to Nowhere, Alabama. And you're there for a year. Now God's leading me to Timbuktu, Arkansas. Now, Daddy, basically what you've got is in a negative way, a military brat. They're never getting real roots. If you want to know, my family's not perfect, but I can tell you they were all at church this morning. They're all serving God. They all work in the ministry because my dad taught me what you do. You do what's right because it's right, and you do it right. For me and my house, we go to the house of the Lord. No matter what dumb things we do, we're going to keep doing this thing, which is get plugged into the right church. Now, there'll be times, here's a big lie I hear all the time. This church isn't deep enough for me. You ain't getting much deeper than this, Felicia. This is as deep as it gets. Okay, this is wisdom. This church needs more of the power of God. Because you want to feel that. Okay? There's churches that do that. They have like little banners and they go around like, how great is our God. A woman's like, I'm doing this for the Lord. Well, why are you doing it up in front of everybody? The Lord can see you back there. Come on, somebody. You could have ministered to the Lord at the house. Because it's really not about the Lord. It's about you wanting to show off your moves that didn't happen in the club, but they're happening in church. Now, Bob's got to watch this happen. This is deep. This is deep. For real. This is what makes strong families. This is what changes a generation. I've said this the other day, and I will say it again. You might not have come from a good family, but a good family can come from you. So the information that I give you right now can cause you to have a good family. But if you're there's a tree. It's an awesome tree. It's over here at the end of this building. You can look at it on the way out. It's the biggest tree. I mean, it's huge. Like the trunk on this tree is massive. And the other day I was walking by that tree, and that tree told me, he said, hey, PD. I said, what? He said, first of all, you're awesome. And then the tree told me, he said, hey, I want to move up to the front because the entrance is at the front, and I'm over here on the side. Nobody's seeing me on the side. Nobody can really focus on me on the side. I can't even do what I really do over here because I need to provide shade for a massive group of people. And I told the tree, you got to stay there. He said, why? I said, because you got deep roots. And if we uproot you at your age and we move you to the front, you ain't going to make it. And then he told me, why don't you be like a tree and leave? See what I did there? See some of you? Yeah. That was good. I'm telling you right now, that was good. It's not as good as the cell phone, but that was good. But the tree isn't saying, I can't be used here. The tree knows for it to really do what it needs to do. And the Bible said in Psalms and in Proverbs, he said, you will be like a tree planted by the rivers of living water, and its leaves should not wither, and whatever you do shall prosper. But most people won't stay. Sounds too loud. Sounds too low. Light's too light. It's light. It's not bright enough. I need more haze. I need no haze. I want something to move me and inspire me. I don't believe in the Vegas Jesus with the lights. No. It really messes with my mojo. So that's why we try to keep the old church lights with the new lights, and we give a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And so it is a mixture that's not about you. If you're a mature Christian, it is about the people that God sent you to bring coverage to and covering over. And the only way you do that is stick with it. And your marriage is going to be good. Sometimes Nicole loves me. She tells you, like today, she's like, oh, God, seriously. She said, I love you. She said that when she was putting her makeup on. I felt it. And then other times, like even this month, she's told me a couple times, just little things. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was a more of a, I can't stand you. Anybody know what I'm talking about? But I know she might have meant that at the time, but I'm not going to kill her, even though I've got a cell phone. We're going to get through it. So marriage is going to have up and downs. Church is going to have up and downs. Life's going to have up and downs. But you can make a decision, no matter what happens, I'm going to stay as even as I possibly can, because wisdom tells me the beginning of the wisdom is to respect God. Respect the house of God. Come on, help me right now. Respect the things of God. Go to church. Learn in church. Get wisdom. Get it. Feelings are crazy. Last night, I never, ever, I mean, it's rare if I eat pizza. I mean, it would be seriously very rare. And if I do, I would like take the topping off and eat that because I'm not going to eat all that carbs. Well, there's a pizza place by our house. And so last night at like 7 o'clock or something, I told Nicole, I said, hey, I want to order pizza. She said, no, you never eat pizza. I never want to eat. I don't even eat pizza. I said, I don't really want pizza. And so we ordered pizza. And there was a huge box of pizza, and she put it in bed. There's nothing like having pizza in bed, because later, even in the evening, when you're moving around on the bed, you're like, there's a crumb. So I ate one piece, and the edges were, for me, the crispy edges that are really crunchy with bacon hanging off of it and pepperoni right there. I just feel it all the way in my shonda. It's like, ah! And I was eating that pizza, and I ate one piece. They ate 2 pieces. They ate 3 pieces. And then Nicole started getting concerned. She said, hey, I've only had 2 pieces. And I said, well, you need to hurry up. But I know she was counting now, right? So she's counting. So I left it alone because I knew she couldn't handle it. Then after she was done, there were still 2 pieces left. Then she took it and she put it in the chair across the room. And I, while one left eye, looked at that and thought, you got to make yourself go over there to the other side of that room. And so by the time it was over, I ate. This morning when I woke up, there was nothing but a box laying there, strewn beside the bed. And then I woke up thinking, what did you do? Anybody ever woke up bloated? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to weigh myself today. I didn't wear like a tight shirt today. This is a loose shirt. I stretched this shirt out. Anybody ever done that? But the flesh left unattended is stupid. I don't do that all the time, but I did that last night. And I'm telling you out of accountability, because I'm awesome, that I did that. Seemed right at the time. But am I going to continue down that path, or am I going to say, no, that's not what I do, that's what I did? So a lot of times you keep focusing on what you did. That is not what you, it's not who you are. That's what you did in a moment of weakness. That's what you did in a moment of stupidity. But now that you've got wisdom, you can understand, I'm going to admit it, I'm going to quit it, I'm going to forget it, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to stick with one God, stick with one Bible, stick with one church. I'm going to stick with it. Come on, give God praise today. Just stick with it. I'm almost done. I'm over time, which means nothing if you guys are new. That clock means nothing. I have nowhere to go and a lot of time to get there. And I'm intermittent fasting now because of what I did last night, which we all know about now. Now, 1 Corinthians 3:18. 1 Corinthians 3:18. This is very important. What's that say? Read it with me. Do not deceive yourself. Okay, that's enough. Read that part one more time. What? Do not deceive yourself. Yeah, I lied to you one more time. You got to be careful because you're a liar. The biggest liar that I have on my staff is me. I lie to me. I tell me you need that person bad. So I look at all their good spots. We need them. You need them bad. You know, if you hire somebody because you need them bad, you get somebody bad. So you got to say, wait a minute. No, I need to take a drone and go. What's it look like 6 months from now? What's it look like a year from now? So I lie to myself. It'll be okay. I'll train them. I'll make them better. I will overlook the obvious. It's not a big deal. But you need to take that drone and go. Because you lie to yourself. I've lied to myself, and I've been in the mall and thought, you know what? If I bought those pants for $130, I promise I will lose weight. Anybody ever bought a dress or something, you swore, or pants, and you were like, I'm going to lose weight because that will give me the impetus, it'll give me the push, it'll do what I need to do. And you buy it, and then you're like, man, I got to try to sell these online because I can't fit in those pants. Not after I got depressed and COVID hit me and all that stuff, and I got stressed out and ate that whole pizza, and I can't fit in those jeans. In fact, my dreams are gone. All I got to do is just, no, hang on a minute. We lie. We put it up there one more time. We what? We deceive ourselves. Do not deceive ourselves. Let's talk about you growing up in leadership a little bit more. How many of you got kids? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of y'all got more than one kid? Raise your hand. How many of you used to have more than one kid, but you got rid of one of them? Raise your hand. So you had 2 kids. Have you ever had a little kid come into you and go, Tommy bit me. Tommy bit me. My God, Tommy. Tommy, get in there. Tommy comes in. Tommy got a black eye. What happened? Cindy hit me. You were just getting ready to kick his butt because he bit back. Because you only had half the information because your kids are just like you. They're liars. Put that back up one more time. Don't deceive yourself. So tomorrow I'm going to go to St. Louis office. I've been there in a really long time. I got to go back because they were asking if I was coming back. How are you? You got to show up every once in a while. And there's a table that Byron's been there. It's as wide as this room. And tomorrow there'll be people all around, all the wise people on our staff full of wisdom. And they're going to be throwing problems at me and stuff that happened and problems, blah, 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 blah. And then I've got to assimilate. They what? They when? They did it where? Or I got to go, let's bring them in. Here's what actually happened. Oh, you didn't tell me. Well, you didn't. Because I found out a long time ago, we only get partial truth when we only get partial understanding. We see through a glass darkly, the Bible says, when we only see it through our own eyes. But if we can see it through the eyes of wisdom and go, hey, there's something deep in here and I'm not going to deceive myself. If any of you think you are wise by the standards of this age, by socialism media, you should become fools. 1 Corinthians 3:8, again, you deceive yourself because you become the boss of you. I'm going to drill for one more minute about being the boss of you. You have to be submitted to one that, remember that person in the Bible that came up to Jesus and she says, oh, my daughter is dead. And Jesus is like, okay, I'm going to go fix it. And he said, you don't have to go. I am one under authority, and I'm one who's in authority. So if I can't run and tend to everything. So if I just speak it, they'll say, and the boss said it. So he said, speak the word only, and your servant will be healed. This guy was such a high thinker. He was so full of wisdom. He said, I don't need Jesus to come to my house and fix it. I just need him to drop the prayer on it because he understood authority. Most people don't understand authority. My dad was a cop. People tell me, the people at the big table say, don't even say that because cops right now are under fire, and so don't say that. So I'm here to tell you that there are good cops and bad cops, but there are a lot of good cops. And there are bad cops. There's bad dentists, bad preachers, but there's good cops. So you can't throw all black people in one pile, all white people in one pile, all cops in one pile. That's wisdom. How many of y'all think you want to be judged by you, not by other people? Always gets quiet again. They'll tell me, see, it didn't work. And people don't like it. Okay. So But my dad, as a cop, when they started putting seatbelts and making that a law, my dad said, I hate that they're doing that because they're going to start making, my dad wasn't against seatbelts. He said, I don't like making a million laws because if you make a million laws, they won't be able to enforce them someday and you'll have complete lawlessness. Now that he's dead and gone, I see what he was saying is true because now we have more laws than ever, but we have more lawlessness than ever. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. This isn't a political statement, by the way. This is just factual. You don't even need a fact checker. Remember, we didn't need a fact checker? Okay? Well, you don't have to fact checker the Bible. The Bible is proven, and it's so up to date. We ain't even caught up with it yet, but we are seeing things become very glaringly obvious that Jesus is coming back. I love that song. People get ready. Jesus is coming soon, and it won't be long. He's coming. You say, well, he's been saying that forever. Yeah, you moron. It could be today. It's really getting close here. So we've got to make our own thinking based on the Word, right? Not the world. So the more of the Word you get in you, the less of the world you will want in you.